the Allentown Advocates has a 3-minute
Yes.
specific PowerPoint that we want to present first after that agenda.
Absolutely. So let me go through what we think the agenda is. If it doesn't match what you're thinking, Sally, then we can adjust.
Okay, I just want to be clear because there's so many, only a 45 minutes allotted.
Totally. Okay. So Deanna, can you share that screen? I don't see it yet.
Yep. I was just waiting for conversation to.
Great.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. Here we go.
Okay. So let's go to the next slide, and I'm going to go through these real quickly, but it's just to make sure. So many of you are experienced with Zoom, but just in case you haven't done a lot of Zoom, we're asking just to save background noise, keep your mic off until you're ready to speak. And we can have people unmute and jump in, but there also is a feature that lets you raise your hand. So that's at the bottom of the screen. It might be under reactions for you, or it might be under participants, depending on your version. And you can click the hand raise, and then that'll make sure that you, sometimes it can be hard to jump in. So if you raise your hand, we'll make sure to get to you. You also can type questions or comments into the chat feature that's at the bottom of the screen. If you run into technical support, you can text or call this number. I will also drop it into the chat so that if you have problems, we don't want you to be unable to participate. So that's a little bit of Zoom tips. I think most of you seem like you already know Zoom, but just in case. Here's how we were thinking about the run of the meeting. We were going to do some quick introductions. And then we have, Sally, the questions that were sent in, we have each of those to go through to answer those questions. And then to sort of pass the baton to one of you who has the community presentation to let you share that screen, go through that bit of it, have some conversation there, and then come back and talk about a little bit about the project history and need, where are we now, what's next. We did want to acknowledge we can take the time that we need to have the conversations around the questions in the community presentation. So if those other items, if we need to push those out a little bit and not do those later, we can do that, because it feels like the most important part is that conversation.
And I would like to interject that we want the PowerPoint before the questions are answered, please.
Okay, so that's let's do introductions, and then we can do the presentation, and then we'll do the questions. That's totally fine. Yeah, so thank you. I think that was just a miscommunication in the order. And we have this meeting ending at 6. If we do need to go longer, I think folks from the project team and staff are more than happy to stay and talk more. So just wanted to put that out there. Let's do a quick introduction. I know we have a lot of things we want to talk about, but let's go through it fairly quickly. Maybe I'll just call on people's names and just say your name and maybe the kind of the role, or the either the group you're representing or the role that you're playing in the meeting today. I'm going to go through what my screen looks like, so we'll start there. Deanna.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Deanna Brown. I'm working on community engagement for this project with the city of Tukwila.
Brittany.
Hi, my name is Brittany Robinson. I just started at the city of Tukwila as a grants analyst for the Public Works Department. So I'm helping secure funding for this project.
Diane.
My name is Diane Shasley. I'm with Trantech Engineering, and I'm a civil engineer. Mostly my role in the project is with active transportation components.
Cash.
Good evening. My name is Kashar Niksad, and I am Trantech's project manager for the design team and working for the city of Tukwila. Privileged to be here.
Thank you. David.
I'm David Klein. I'm the Tukwila City Administrator. Good to be here tonight.
Great. Oh, there were two Davids. David Shoemate. Oh, David, we can't hear you. We'll come back to you. I see that you're unmuted, but we don't quite hear your audio. We'll come back. Sally. Oh, Sally, you need to unmute.
My name is Sally Blake. I've been a resident with the city of Tukwila since 1979. I've owned my home I have 35 plus years experience of dealing with the truck issue in the city.
Great, thanks, Sally. Hari.
Good evening. My name is Hari Punakente. I'm with City of Tukwila Public Works Department. I'm the Public Works Director. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Rachel Bianchi with the City of Tukwila Deputy City Administrator. Thanks for your time today.
Adam.
Hi, I'm Petruski. I work for, oh, we have two Adams.
Oh, I was looking, I was trying to make sure. Okay, Adam Petruski, you go first.
All right. Again, I'm Adam Petruski. I work for Puget Sound Clean Air Agency as an air monitoring specialist, and I've done some monitoring work in the Allentown neighborhood.
Great. Adam Cox.
My name is Adam Cox with the City of Tukwila. I'm a transportation project manager as well as the project manager for this project.
Great. Mary.
Hello, I'm Mary Fritakis. I'm a 30-year Allentown resident.
Kate.
Hi, I'm the City Council President. I'm here to observe and listen today.
Lisa. Oh, Lisa, well, you're on mute. We need you to unmute yourself.
Hi, I live on 42nd South across from the footbridge. I've been in Tukwila since 1998, 99, and have spent quite a bit of time and hours on this bridge project in years past. So I'm invested.
Thank you. Is it Kelly? Let's go Kelly Simons.
Yeah. Kelly Simmons. Hi, I'm Kelly. I have lived in Allentown also since 1991, and I own a house that's one door down from the blinky light. So if you come up to the blinky light and go straight, I'm the second house. And I've lived here in this house for 20 years and another one for 10 down the street. And we are also vested, also have gone through many, many surveys, meetings, many meetings about this truck traffic.
Great. Kelly O'Callahan.
Hi, I'm Kelly O'Callahan with the Puget Sound Clean Air Agency. I'm an air resource associate working in our diesel emission and our transportation projects.
Great. Sean?
Hi, I'm Sean Albert. I live in Allentown as well since 2006. I think I've been a Parks Commissioner for Tukwila for over a decade. And I'm also a land steward for the Duwamish Hill Preserve.
Keith?
Hey, my name is Keith Hubrath. I am Kelly Simmons' neighbor here at the intersection of 42nd Avenue South and 124th. So right on the corner next to all the lovely trucks. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. I sincerely appreciate it.
Niles.
Hi, Niles Green, a colleague of Deanna and Angie, here to help out on the public engagement of the project.
Verna.
Hi, I'm Verna Seal. I'm a council member. I'm the chair of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and I'm here in listening mode only.
Thank you. Laurel.
Hi, I'm Laurel Humphrey, City Council staff. Thanks.
Great. Mayor Eckberg.
Angie, I think you said it all. I'm Alan Epberg, Mayor of the City of Tukwila, a long-term resident. I look forward to listening to what goes on here today.
Great, thank you. David, I'll give you one last chance. David Shumate, did you get unmuted? Nope, we still can't hear you. Oh, curse the Zoom. Okay. You can type into the chat.
Maybe exit and come back in. Maybe it would work if you exit.
I think that's what he's doing.
Okay.
I think that's what he's doing. Yeah, great. Okay, so before we jump back into a PowerPoint, I know there's a presentation. Sally, is that you sharing the screen? Is there someone who has that presentation to share?
David Shumate.
Oh! Let's wait for David to come back. Niles, look for him so we can let him in. Isn't that it's the foil of Zoom?
Murphy's Law, isn't it?
Yes.
And I would like to thank everybody for being here. It's appreciated.
Yeah. Well, now we have to stall a little bit while we wait for David. And so
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Typically in my experience with Zoom, I get a little notification, a little pop-up window that tells me that the meeting is being recorded, and I didn't get that. Of course, now that I'm saying that, I'm seeing in the top left corner, there's a little red blinking light that says recording. So just start.
yeah, so sometimes you can do settings that have a longer message at the top. I think this setting just says recording.
I just want to make sure we were good there.
Well, should we maybe start with questions until we get the whole Zoom David thing, or give it another minute?
Well, I think that's a question for you all. Do you feel like it's important to do the presentation first to set the stage? You want to wait a minute?
If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind waiting 1 minute. I think you could probably get in.
Okay. I see that Lisa wants to say something, but Lisa, you're on mute.
Now am I unmuted?
Yep, we can hear you.
It's very tricky, unmuted and mute. Anyway, I don't have David's phone number, but maybe somebody could call him with the login and the password numbers, and he can come into Zoom from another direction.
I've got it. I've called him already. Let's see if he'll answer. He didn't answer when I called him before.
Or text him those numbers and see if he can enter that way. And
right. Okay. I don't think he's going to answer. I think he was doing Zoom protocol and turning his phone off, which I never do. Okay.
Well, this is how we do it. We just figure it out.
Right, exactly. Well, I don't think we should take too much time if we're gonna only have a short amount of time. Yeah, it's going to voicemail for David.
Maybe this could be a good opportunity for maybe Adam from Puget Sound Clean Air Agency to just give us all a quick reminder on some of the studies that have taken place recently.
Sure, I can fill time if needed. So I think what I mentioned before was I've done some monitoring projects in the neighborhood, specifically to back up a little bit as to why we were doing any sort of monitoring in the Allentown neighborhood is we have an internal tool that we use for our jurisdiction, which happens to be the 4-county area in Puget Sound, King, Pierce, Kitsap, and Snohomish counties. And we're able to get census level data on income, demographics, not necessarily hospital room visits, but information related to some different medical conditions like that. And we aggregate that into a GIS tool that scores all of the different neighborhoods in our jurisdiction relative to each other. And so we found that the Allentown neighborhood ranks fairly high. I don't remember exactly its ranking, but it's definitely in the top 10 neighborhoods as far as health disparities and air pollution impacts. So based on that tool in our agency, we've decided to make up 4 different basically in interdisciplinary groups within our agency that focus on a different neighborhood in our jurisdiction that we feel is being disproportionately impacted by air quality. And Allentown is one of those neighborhoods that's included in our Duwamish Valley group, which also includes Georgetown and South Park. So this assessment of adding Allentown in happened over 5 years ago, probably 6 or so years ago. And so we started to spend a little more time and resources in the neighborhood doing some monitoring. We've set up a permanent monitoring station in the neighborhood, as well as I did some special purpose monitoring where I set up individual monitors in 4 or 5 residents' yards. And then also did what we call mobile monitoring, where we were moving throughout the neighborhood on kind of a predetermined route and collecting data in addition to those 4 stationary spots. And then we aggregated all of that data and put it all together into a couple of different handouts that we have on our website. And basically what we found through this very short monitoring period that happened over a summer or so, about 4 or 5 months, was that it kind of reinforced what we were already kind of suspecting about the neighborhood, is that a couple of major sources were creating most of the air pollution in the neighborhood. And we found by making a heat map that relatively the highest sources of pollution, or the areas of pollution, were close to the intermodal yard and along the main thoroughfare coming across the bridge going to the intermodal yard. Like I said, those are on our website, and I'd be happy to share that link with anybody that's interested and like to look at it, or I can talk about it at length. I talk about this forever, so it looks like David's back, so I'll go ahead and wrap up.
Adam, maybe you could drop that link into the chat just so that everybody can access to that too, if you have a moment.
Yeah.
David, we've all been anxiously waiting for you. We're not sure if you can talk. Do you want to try? No, we still can't hear you, but you are the one who's sharing your screen. So
I know that sometimes what I have friends that do is that they come in on their telephone and they're also on their computer, and their phone will have the audio, and so there you go. So come in. Oh, can you come in twice? Once on your phone and stay there. I sent you the numbers to get into Zoom on your text.
Hey, David, if you in the bottom left corner next to the microphone icon, if you click that up arrow and switch to phone audio, it should give you instructions on how to dial in.
But I sent you in your text, I sent you the numbers to just log into Zoom if you have the app on your phone. And I wanted to introduce Irene here. I forgot to introduce Irene. She lives across from the footbridge, and she's lived there since 1947. Okay, so she knows a little bit about Allentown too.
Okay. So what we'll do is we're stalling a little bit, David, while you're figuring out audio, and we're all learning new things about Zoom today. Thank you, Keith. That you can just do that inside the call. And then David's going to share his screen, and we're going to see that presentation. We'll have some time for conversation. Then there's also some questions that I think staff have answers for, that we can go through that. All right, David, do we hear you yet? Not yet.
What if you share your screen and there's other ones of us that know the audio portion? Are you able to share your screen and get the PowerPoint up? Here we go.
Here we go.
Where do you go?
What we see is the Zoom webpage.
If he can't get the fucking PowerPoint. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Does somebody else want to narrate? Sally, maybe?
Well, have them call your phone and put them on speaker.
We could do that, David. If you want to call me, I can put you on speaker right here.
Or if you want to call me, David.
Or Sean. Yeah.
I'm on my phone, so.
And now I'm having a hard time. I got to find David again to see what's happening with. It's hard to, you lose their faces.
Thank you so much for your patience.
That's what we're here for. This is what we're all here, figuring it out together.
Please leave your message for 20.
I tried calling him and just went straight to voicemail. David, turn the phone on.
Can you hear us, David? Because if you can hear us, call one of us and we'll put you on speaker and you can talk through the phone about one of ours.
There.
Who's he calling? Sean?
Please leave your message for 2.
Fun technical issues.
And only with the one with the PowerPoint.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
David, we can't hear you. Just call my phone. Pick up your phone and call my phone.
I feel like I'm getting practiced. I'm trying really hard to read his lips, and I'm not very good at it, but I heard it.
There we go. He's got a phone to his ear. Okay.
All right, you're on
Yay.
here, buddy.
Okay, here we go. Can anybody hear me?
We can all hear you.
Let me turn down my volume. This is the PowerPoint of our Allentown advocates. This has been going on for about 30 years. I've lived here for about 14, and still going on. So this is how we see it. The bridge was only supposed to be in temporary use by truck traffic until another entrance could be figured out, or a bridge. 30 years later, they're still going through the neighborhood and disrupting things, and creating havoc for the bridge, which is not being maintained, at least as far as I can tell. And also, we would like to see a bridge on 48th Place. There was a community meeting with the city on that, and that was the preferred route for the trucks. I noticed in the most recent informational memorandum put out by Hari and Group that wasn't even brought up. And in fact, the new bridge that's going to be built on 42nd is going to handle more trucks, bigger trucks. So the bridge has long been neglected by Tukwila. But for some reason, Tukwila was able to find $11 million for a pedestrian bridge. Opened in 2018. And nice bridge. No one seems to be using it though. So doing a little research on bridges in Washington State and King County, the owner of the bridge, and this one is Tukwila, is supposed to send a biannual report to the Federal Highway Administration, and they're also supposed to do maintenance on the bridge, such as pressure washing and painting and inspections, and it doesn't seem like that has been being done. I brought this in here because this shows that Tukwila can repair bridges and can even run traffic over them while they're repairing them. This is on Boeing Access Road just a few months ago. So the bridge there on 42nd, a lot of people like it. I like it. It's a beautiful bridge, just needs a little help. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It could use some reinforcing and bring it up to modern standards. But the bridge itself, there's nothing inherently wrong with the design. In fact, there's a lot of structures like it that are in continuous use, built a long time ago, but they're maintained. So here's an overview of the lower Allentown neighborhood. And this is the current truck route. And you can see it goes by the community center, the children's splash park, the skate park and large playfield, the Allentown Superette, which helps the neighborhood. And that is just a crazy intersection right there. And over 45 homes, which front the truck route. 48th Place, on the other hand, there's the truck route there. it's all geared towards transportation and trucks. There's the Shell fuel station, 76 station, Peterson's diesel station, plenty of room for trucks going in and out of there. There's the APP diesel station, the truck dealership, which is the International Truck Dealership and Leasing. Days Inn, which has 18 semi-parking spots. You can count them right there if you want. There's the Yellow Freight Depot and the Penske Truck Rental. So here's a little comparison. This is the 42nd Street Bridge that's currently in use. There's the 48th Place proposed truck route and bridge and entrance into the Burlington Northern Freight Yard. So interestingly, I measured this on Google Maps. It's all approximate. The current bridge is about 280 feet. It's pretty long because it's at a kind of a strange angle to line up with the roadway. And also the river at that point is pretty shallow, so it's a lot wider. 48th Place, the river is a lot narrower by about 100 feet. So I assume the bridge there could be a lot shorter too. So here's an example of a temporary bridge in place, and then a more permanent bridge being built right next to it. Obviously, it would be a little smaller scale for what we were asking for, but similar concept. This is by Acro Bridge Company. And Hari brought this up and gave us the idea, why not put the temporary bridge on 48 while the 42nd Street Bridge is either being replaced or rebuilt. And we also think that declaring this an emergency could get this done immediately, putting in a temporary bridge and then going through the SEPA process for a more permanent bridge. So this is what we think the way forward should be. Again, putting in a temporary bridge immediately, getting the trucks on it and off of the 42nd Avenue Bridge to prevent further deterioration. And then at the same time, going through the SEPA process, designing the bridge, the more permanent 48th Place Bridge, and securing funds, and then also doing something with the 42nd Bridge, either replacing it or repairing it, preferably repairing it and reinforcing it. That's all I have as far as the PowerPoint.
Thank you, David. Thank you for all the technical to try to figure out how to do that. So we appreciate that. Let's see. So
Angie, I think you're muted.
oh, I don't. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sean, you can't hear me.
I guess I turned my volume down so I didn't get feedback. Sorry.
Okay.
Very technical here.
This is an awesome Zoom meeting. I am all for it. Okay, so I think that, let's see. So what we have also are some questions that staff heard answers for. So what do y'all think about maybe going through those answers and then just opening up for broader conversation? Because it feels like there's probably some things that you brought up that might be covered in some of those questions, and maybe we can talk about all of them together. Does that seem okay? Generally? Okay. So I think there is, I wanted to, there's a few PowerPoint slides. Let's see, Deanna, if you can share the PowerPoint and we can hear. Yes. Okay, great. So we are ready to turn this over. Hold on, Hari, this is you. Are you ready? I just want to check your volume and all that.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Great. All right. So we'll turn it over to you. You can do some walking through these answers to the questions.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you for all the residents for taking your valuable time coming here. And I thank David Schumann for putting together a good presentation. I actually had conversations with David prior in other meetings. I actually met him at his residence and stuff. So good job, good conversation. So I want to go through some of the questions and kind of put together the research we did within the short period. The questions we received were on March 29. So we had a couple of days to gather the information. The question that you will see is the exact question from the email as is. We cut and pasted it. We tried not to change too much of the question itself. So the question number 1 is, why was the BNSF access study report from 2015-2016 never moved from draft to final form? And this report had the 48th Street Bridge as the #1 preferred option to reroute the truck traffic out of Allentown permanently. So the answer to that is you're correct that the access study had been delayed. And this happened because in August of 2017, the existing 42nd bridge critical condition came out, and we started a structural analysis and study. And so city has shifted its focus onto the 42nd bridge. And the bridge currently has a rating of 7.56 out of 100. So a bridge with existing traffic and moving traffic with that low rating, immediately we have a civic and legal responsibility. And I think I mentioned this in some of my other correspondence. We have, we only have so many resources, and so over the time period, the focus has been shifted to getting the funds for 42nd and making this the biggest infrastructure placement project that's on our plate right now. So I can move to the next question, and we can go through all the questions, and we can come back and take the feedback, or I'm free to stall here and take your feedback. However you guys want to run this. It's your meeting. I don't want to dictate one way or other.
I'd like to interject that we discuss each question as you
Okay,
read it.
That's great.
no problem.
Comments or questions for this one? Sally, did you have something you want?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Back in 2017, this access study was done in 2015-16. I mean, these dates just don't line up to me. There were meetings at the community center. A lot of you were at these meetings in 2016. And this just doesn't add up that in 2017, you found out that the bridge was in critical condition. Number one, the community wasn't informed of that. That was 4 years ago, over 4 years ago. And number two, it just doesn't line up with the timeline of this study in 2016. And also, the low rating of, what'd you say it was 7.6 or something, 6.7, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
That was more recent. That was just divulged, I think last year, late last year. So this, this doesn't seem connected to me. Your answer to the question, as far the timeline doesn't fit.
Right. So we went back and did research, Sally. The study started, contract started in 2015, and the interviews were conducted regarding the access study all the way from 2016 into 2017. There was a meeting in 2017, August, that shows up in records, and which lines up exactly with the structural issues found out on 2017. On 42nd Bridge. You are correct. The structural issues on 2017 on 42nd Bridge started off, the rating started off in low teens to now it's at 7.56. So it did degrade since then. But even having a bridge with low teens itself is what shifted the conversation onto the 42nd Bridge. On top of that, the access study, some of the other issues that were mentioned were the reason for it being stalled or the resources being shifted. And there were some concerns regarding the limited scope EIS that was done, and the other legal concerns that may be arising out of that. So there were a bunch of issues that all led to where we are right now.
Could you be specific as far as resources being shifted?
So it's the SEPA, full-blown EIS and SEPA will take more money than what we have allocated for the study. So resources are both staff and money.
Well, I can tell you over the 35-year history that Tukwila has always done that, spent money for studies and then not acted on them. And we probably could have built a bridge with all the money that Tukwila spent on studies over the last 30 years. And that's the history of it.
Sally, Kelly also has her hand up. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to point out is that, number one, how does it get all of a sudden to 7.56 without there being, 60, 40, 50? And that's where we think that the maintenance isn't being followed up on, because had they been looking at it on a regular basis, they would have caught it long before it got to 7.5 out of 100. But other than that, that's why we're saying, and also, hang on, so also because 7.56 to handle all that truck traffic. You know how much, okay, the other day I'm walking my dogs. I come up at take the little trail and come up at the thing and I cross over the bridge to the little store. And the time it takes me to walk, that's like one long block, maybe two short ones if you want to break it up. By the Tukwila Community Center, across the bridge to the little store. I got passed by 9 trucks in the amount of time it took me to walk, which might have been 5 minutes. We'll give you 10 to make it 1 a minute. They are thundering back and forth and nobody's monitoring that. Supposedly they put up some signs, 1 truck at a time and only a speed limit. Nobody's monitoring that. Those trucks are thundering, they're passing each other. There's 3 or 4 on the bridge at a time. So perhaps it wouldn't be a rating of that if it was just cars. And you could, if you threw down that temporary bridge over on 48 for the truck traffic alone and get all the trucks off of that bridge, you could shut that bridge down and you could route cars through the other end by the fire station. It wouldn't hurt anything to bring cars in the other end while you probably just retrofit that. I bet you wouldn't have to build a brand new one. But if you build a brand new 42nd Avenue bridge that can handle all that truck traffic, we will never get that truck traffic out of here. If we've got a big beefy bridge, there'll be no reason, and I know BN doesn't want to put the money out to change their entrance, but at some point you got to just tell them, this is what we're doing. We're taking the trucks out of the neighborhood and you guys figure out. But if you build a great big beefy bridge to handle trucks coming across 42nd, we'll never get the trucks out of here. That's all I can say is that if it was just cars, it might not be at a 7.56. It might be able to handle cars, no problem.
Kelly, I just want to interject too.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a layperson or a rocket scientist to know back in 2017 that it's the trucks that are damaging that bridge.
And there was a proposal when we saw, this is where this whole thing started, is that Keith just moved in, poor Keith moved in just like 6 months ago. And he's like saying, he came over to me, he goes, I've been trying to figure out what the schedule is for that rail yard, because before he built his fence, he finally built a fence that kind of stops the truck lights from just flying through his house. Every time a truck comes there and makes that turn, the lights just flood his house. So he built a fence. I said, there is no schedule. It's 24/7. They're 24/7. It's open 24 hours a day. And so he saw out there, I gotta hang that up. He looks out his window and they're surveying, and we go out there and we ask them what they're doing, and they're surveying to build a bridge by extending 124th directly across off the river and hooking it to 599, making a freeway entrance to funnel those trucks straight into our neighborhood and making that a 4-way stop. I mean, what? I don't even know what to say about that. And obviously they had some sort of funding that they thought they could afford to build a freeway entrance and a great big huge bridge across You could build 2 bridges for the price of that. So anyway.
Lisa, I see that you have your hand raised. Did you want to make a comment?
Mute.
There you go. Right.
Okay, so I know you're all clear how we feel about the way this is going. So before we move on to that next question, I just want to be sure that I'm reading your response correctly. And Hari, forgive me, you are new to this game, but none of the rest of us are, including the mayor and various council members and the attorney for the city that are on this call. So what I'm understanding from your answer is that the city really doesn't have any excuse for neglecting the issue of the bridge that has been ongoing. The other thing that I think I'm reading in the response is nowhere, and forget about the money part, and I understand money is a big part, but nowhere in there was even the possibility of a truck route being geared towards 48. The only focus was on how can we find money to beef up that bridge at the end of the street in a neighborhood that has been asking of the council for over 30 years to address the truck traffic. Am I following this correctly?
So yeah, Lisa, you are following
Okay.
correctly in the sense this 42nd bridge is seen as the primary access for all the cars that are getting in and out of this neighborhood. And at this point, the getting the trucks out of the neighborhood is considered and studied as a secondary access for the BNSF trucks. That's
a problem. That is a huge problem, that is a secondary condition of a request that's been made over 30 years. Just saying. But we can, I think if everybody's okay, we can move on to the next question.
Big problem. And I'd like to remind everybody that it's the residents who are on the top of the organizational chart for the city of Tukwila.
Well, let me make myself clear. I'm not saying that for the BNSF access study or is secondary choice to the city, but the primary access in and out of this neighborhood is the 42nd bridge, and getting the trucks out of that is alternative access for the trucks only. So we're still considering for the residential cars to get in and out of the neighborhood, the primary access is the 42nd bridge.
Can I make one point too, is that if you saw on that PowerPoint, and because I was thinking too, if we switch it to 48th, how does the rendering plant get to their place? Because that's when you go up over the freeway, you kind of branch off to the right. You could put that bridge at 48th and it would hook to that road. And that road, they could take a right and they could still go in the original entrance to the BN at this moment while you guys, while they reconfigure their entrance and everything. You could drop that temporary bridge there and they could come in that same entrance. Yeah, there'd be about a block from Cadiga Park right there. There's about 10 homes, but there's not 48 homes. And maybe they could take a little bit of our truck traffic for a while. We've been taking it for 30 years. They could, that one block would be impacted to go into the rail, but they could come in that direction. You're gonna have to do something while you close down 40. And this is another thing, you close down 42nd to beef it up, where the truck's gonna go? They're gonna come in by the fire station and wind through our neighborhood by all the houses. That can't happen either.
Go in the river. Harry, and you have to know too that our bridge has historical value. We want to keep that bridge, repair it, and just have car traffic on it, and just divert all the trucks over on 48th.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer part of that question under another question you have, but the way the city maintains this existing bridge is we have a contract with King County to inspect all of our bridges in Tukwila on a 24-month inspection period basis. That is what's required by the FHWA and the federal guidelines. So we comply by them. When they come and do the inspection, that's when they tell us if you need painting, if you need any other small repairs, they will tell us, and the city will and must comply with those to keep up to certification. So that's how the maintenance works. And so the city, the bridge has reached its design life. So that's another information that if we roll down this presentation, it would say the bridge was designed for 75 years, and it has been in commission for 75 years. So with that being said, can we save the bridge, repair the bridge? Can we just use the cars? All these are questions that we will look at. We'll use the technical experts and consultants to tell us. We're here to do what it takes to save and maintain and preserve our historic buildings and values. But the issue is we have been complying with the federal guidelines on maintaining the bridge as required. And currently the bridge is actually on 12-month inspection because of the criticality and the deficiencies. It went from 24-month inspection to 12-month inspection right now.
If you guys knew that that bridge was in danger in 2017, there should have been a lot more done between then and now.
Okay, we better move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to, hey, we're all on the same page. Let's move on to the next question. I think, Hari, there's maybe some of this that you've already talked about, but let's go to the next one. Just so I'm going to venture to say that we're not going to be done at 6 o'clock, but we want to make sure that we get through the question. So
yeah. So again, this question is regarding the current process. And so the question is, why did the consultants contact in this round of communication only the businesses first and not the residents in February? And especially the extending 124th across the river that was mentioned by Kelly. The intention has always been to include feedback from residents in the replacement of this bridge. And we have a project timeline that will show that the contract with the existing consultant started in December 2020. So we are planning, we are moving to include everybody's input to get to a type, size, and location report, which is, we're expecting to get that report by the end of this year. So considering this today is March 30th, we are going in that direction, and there will not be a type, size, and location report without your feedback. Your feedback is essential for us to complete this report. The intent is always to seek out your input.
If that's the case, Harry, why did you spend the money on the survey to make that 3-way stop into a 4-way stop and put the bridge across the river there?
Because I can
Why
tell
did
you,
the money spent on that survey?
Is always going to be to get the truck traffic out. We don't want an alternate truck traffic coming into our neighborhood. We want the alternate to be out of our neighborhood. That's
why
always,
did you guys spend the money on that survey if that's the case, Hari?
So again, Sally, the survey is of the existing conditions of the street, the right of way, the utilities that are underneath, and the stop sign there. And so they did not take any survey of the river going towards 124th. There's no bridge on 124th was included in the survey. Only they surveyed up to the intersection. I can have the consultants answer exactly what was surveyed, but it was all within the scope of this 42nd bridge replacement.
The surveyor was asked the specific question while he was doing the job, and that's what he said.
And they were also across the river taking soil samples across the river from
So
120.
please,
Right. So again, there is a option 1A that came from the engineering study that if we put the bridge right next to the existing 42nd bridge, or can we change alignment and go straight on 124th, but no further reporting, studying, and design was done, and it will not continue without your feedback. And so that's as far as I can tell you. We didn't spend any resources other than at that intersection.
how much money was spent on that survey?
I have to look at it, look at the subcontractors, consultants' money on.
When I called the city and asked them what was going on and talked to the project manager, they said that it was unlikely that they would do another survey because they'd spent so much money on this survey.
Kari, maybe that's a follow-up for you, just
Yeah,
on that piece, so that we can get that answer. Is there any folks who maybe haven't had a chance to ask a question that want to follow up on this question number 2?
Yeah, I've got just one quick question. You mentioned there that the original intent was to start outreach in the spring. Is that still the timeline? Should we expect to be engaged in outreach, or is this considered part of that?
So Keith, this meeting is the preparation meeting for the large community outreach meeting, which currently is scheduled for April 27th.
Okay.
So, sorry, my dogs are barking, but April 27th is what we're hoping to, if we get all the information we need from this meeting, that's when we want to conduct that large community outreach meeting. And there will be more coming all the way until September, October. So like I said, we will not be able to finalize the TSNL report, which is type, size, and location report, without all of your input.
You got it.
But it doesn't sound like you're putting the 48th Avenue option even on the board. It's all about the 42nd Street Bridge. It's not about rerouting the truck traffic. Apparently, it's just about beefing that one up. Because we can get the whole neighborhood to come to that meeting if you like, because we have rallied our neighborhood into big gatherings before. So we could rally them all up and get them there. But I can tell you,
Can I just add, Kelly, Sue? I think that's the idea. Like, yeah, the reason we had originally asked for this meeting to be, we proposed some dates to the city, and Hari's response was that it was a little too quick for the city to help us reach out to the entire neighborhood with postcards, etc. So the point of partially the point of this meeting, besides getting our questions answered, is to help strategize for the next meeting, which I didn't know there was a date set yet. So you're saying the 27th is now the...
We're kind of floating that, Sean, but I mean, we're happy to accommodate. We want to deliver on our promise. We said we'll do it in April. So I just told my project team that let's do it in April. Let's not push it into May. But I'm open to what works for you, Sean, and what works for your neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Mary, you've had your hand up. Oh, sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I have a quick question and a comment follow-up. My question is, at what point on that scale of 100 points, if we're at 7.56, does it become mandatory to close the bridge because it is a danger?
So it's a complicated question, Mary. There is no one number that would say that you have to absolutely shut it down. There are several factors that are looked at to giving it that rating of 7 point. So what contributes to it is the number of cars and trucks that go on it, and the speed of it, and the weight of it. So that hence you're seeing the weight restriction and speed restriction And so at some point, it may have to be restricted to a few number of cars per day, or passenger cars only, or that type of further restrictions may have to come in. But what is more important for a bridge like this, as far as shutting it down, is the structural fracture. So we have a structural inspector that came out last year, and we did a very up close inspection of all of the columns, all the iron, all the metal, make sure that the cracks are not propagating. And so we are observing it very closely. Any change in the reports, anything might tell us to shut it down, but the number itself is not the biggest indicator as far as shutting down the bridge is concerned.
Thank you. Muse, just wanted to follow up quickly on that. You said one of the factors is the number of vehicles going over it. Is there some type of a counter out there now to indicate that, since it's not being monitored?
We do take traffic counts. We have a consultant that comes to various parts of the city, take traffic counts, and we did take traffic counts in that area. We sometimes take once or twice a year for a certain period of time, for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then we average it and extrapolate it.
And thank you. And then my follow-up comment was on to the what's currently on our screen. The issue of intention. You haven't been here for that long, but so I'm just going to say, after living here for 30 years, intention versus impact has been an ongoing problem, because the intent may have been to do something, but the impact of not talking to the residents first, the people who live here, who are impacted on a daily basis by this, is really problematic, and it has been an ongoing problem. And it has created an environment where the residents feel like they are not as important as the businesses. And so just want to say, this feels like this is yet more of that continuing.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback, Mary. I've been in touch with Sean and Sally, and I'm here to learn too from this experience. But we have laid out over the between now and April 27th what next steps are. We're about to send you a survey. We're about to send postcards, and we'll put some of the posters near the community center. So I want to follow up with action. I want to prove you guys that we're here to take actions, to show you and meet you where you want us to meet.
Hari, how about the next question? I know we're at 6 o'clock. Some of you may have other things to do, but I'm virtually feeling the room that we should just keep moving. Yeah. And keep talking, stay together and keep talking if that's okay with folks. So if you have other thoughts, let us know. But why don't you do the next one?
So this question specifically talks about the political support from Maria Cantwell regarding the alternative study that was done for the question stated to be 48. We went and did research, and what we found out is definitely there's a long history of supporting Allentown from the Senator Maria Cantwell, and because of the emergent reality of the need to replace 42nd Bridge, city has shifted its focus, and Senator, her support was for getting the trucks out of this neighborhood, mitigating the impacts of the rail yard in the Allentown neighborhood. So we definitely understand the support, and this is a valid question, and our research proved that your question is a correct assumption.
I don't understand what you just said. Could you repeat your last sentence, please?
So what Senator Maria Cantwell has her full support behind this, getting the neighborhood cleaned out of the truck traffic and mitigate the impacts of the rail yard. But there was no specific project that was funded under her support. So
Well, that's not answering.
She requested some specific ask. And that was where you would have made, there would have been a specific ask with a plan. And that, of course, she doesn't know the project. That's where it was, the ball was dropped. She asked for a specific plan and it was never given to her.
And we're asking why that request wasn't followed through on.
I have to defer that to our city deputy administrator. Rachel, are you on the line?
Yeah, so again, I'm Rachel. Thanks everybody for being here today. So it's all intertwined, right? So it goes back to the access study, the alternate access study was stopped because of the realities of 42nd Avenue and needing to replace that bridge as our #1 priority. So the access study was never finalized. To Hari's last point, Senator Cantwell has always been supportive of Allentown, and she's supportive of mitigating the impacts of the rail yard. But she never gave a specific nod to the 48th alternate, which is what that last sentence, sorry, is just trying to clear up. So again, it's all intertwined with the 42nd Avenue bridge going to the top of the list.
And Lisa,
does that help?
Yeah, sorry, Rachel. Lisa, you have your hand raised. Did you want to follow up there?
I do. I think this is a question of accountability that there feels a need to be driven home repeatedly. However many years ago, it was 7 years ago. And again, there are members, I can't see them on my screen, but I think that are still here in this meeting, went to Washington, DC, had the opportunity to sit down in her office. And again, this is my interpretation. I wasn't sitting there, but that Tukwila kind of whined and complained and moaned about this problem, this issue we're having down here. And I think that is true, that she was very supportive of there being a problem that needed addressing. And the vocabulary I was given was that she sent the Tukwila team home and said, bring me a specific ask, which was the opportunity for the city of Tukwila to really think and plan for a way to deal with the demands of the 42nd Avenue Bridge and opening the door to relocating truck traffic onto 48th. So the question is not for you to answer by saying, oh, yes, you have Maria Cantwell's support from back in the day when she was running the transportation issues. But I think it's again to ask you why you have let this fall by the wayside, and maybe nobody has an answer for that. That's all I got to say on that one. My interpretation.
Thanks, Lisa. Other comments or reflections from folks, maybe those who haven't had a chance to share? I see no other hands, so Sally, you get to...
I do. I have two other
yeah.
Sorry, I have two other things to say. And, in answer to Lisa, I'm wondering if it's not an equity and environmental justice problem we've had down here all these years. And also, you guys keep referring, to that access study being stopped due to the bridge emergency, but yet nothing has been done about that until recently. I mean, you'd think if you had a bridge emergency back in 2017 that stops an access study, that you would start working on solutions to the problem, but nothing has been done since then until now. So I just want to make that comment. And if I sound a little, I know my voice is up a couple scales, and that's because I've been dealing with this for 35 years, 35 years. And it's time to get this issue resolved.
I'll jump in. And we all kind of feel a little betrayed about the fact that we finally felt like we were getting somewhere in that access study. It was at the Tukwila Community Center. The mayor was there. A lot of the council people were there. We had great big engineered drawings that were on easels. It looked very, legitimate. It wasn't just some guy with a clipboard. It was a lot of money was spent on that because they had engineered drawings. I know those aren't cheap. And everybody, and it was like, oh, we felt like we were being heard. It was going to happen. It was going down 48th Street. Everybody was in applying. And I feel like that guy just walked out of there, threw all that stuff in the back seat and said, there, that should shut him up for a while. That's how we feel about that.
Because the bridge was in an emergency state and yet nothing was done.
Nowhere, all that. And it's like, everybody's like, what are you talking about? We never heard of it. And I know you guys are new, Hari, so we're not like saying, we're not pointing fingers. We're just saying how frustrating it is for us that we keep doing study after study. I work for the city of Seattle. I know how it all works slow. But it's like, you spend more money, like you said, Sally. We could have built 2 bridges by the time we spent all this money on studies. But anyway, we should probably move to the next question.
Let's go. Yes, we will. So let's go to the next one.
It's kind of a different category.
I think this is number 4, maybe. I think this is the 4th one. I lost count, but yeah.
Standards for bridge maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only 6, by the way, questions. So in case you guys were thinking there's 35 questions.
Hari, you answered this.
We tried to keep it short.
So again, Kelly and Sally, I don't mind about your voice level being higher. I don't take this personally. I totally understand where you're coming from, so don't worry about that.
Thank you.
On this question, I think I kind of went into a little bit of this already. So the city has an ongoing contract with King County Inspection Services, and all of our bridges in Tukwila, we have about 23 bridges and several pedestrian bridges. So we have 24-month mandated fracture critical inspections. And then on this particular one, there's a 6-month north pier that's an interim inspection. And then now we're on 12-month inspection. As a matter of fact, this April inspection is up again on this bridge. So you will see some information coming your way that there will be more, you'll see a truck and bucket truck and inspections on this. Any questions on this?
Yeah, we talked about this one a little bit, but if there's anything that's come up for you since we chatted about it, I'm gonna just look around, see if there's any hands up or.
David, does that go with what you've learned about? Because you've been doing some research on that, and I'd like to know if that concurs with what you've learned lately.
David is saying no, but David can't speak. So we're waiting. It looks like David's doing something.
David could also write in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Click on chat and you can type in a question.
Or unmute yourself and call us and we'll put you up on
Right. So David, I'm also available to meet with you. You can call me personally or I can meet with you. We're definitely, I'm happy to see if you have any additional information that I can be helped with.
Great. I think virtually that David is typing. That's what I'm interpreting David's intent look as. So let's hold on for just a minute because I think David's going to type something amazing.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of research on this particular issue here.
Yeah,
no pressure, David.
Oh, we really appreciate that you guys, we thought we were going to have 45 minutes and be shut down. So we appreciate the fact that you guys were willing to stay longer so we could just hash it all out at one time and not feel like we got.
Yeah, because of the short 45 minutes. That's why we sent you questions ahead of time.
That was good though to have some questions beforehand anyway, to have a little itinerary. It's always good to try to follow. Don't you love how we all adapted to Zoom though? I don't know about you, but I was completely computer illiterate. Pretty much. Guess what? I'm a truck driver. I drive semi-truck for 32 years. And I remember when I saw my little house for sale was when I was driving a truck down to the BN hub. I lived on 48, but I was coming across the bridge. I was sitting at the little blinky light and there was a for sale sign in the front yard of this house 20 years ago and I bought it. But So I understand trucks and I understand freight, and it's only going to get more. It's only going to increase. It's never going to become less. I mean, it's just more and more and more. And I understand also the BN Railroad, because I run in and out of the rail for the city of Seattle. And the BN Rail, they got more money than God, and they don't want to spend a dime of it. And so they do it. I've watched that for 30 years also in my other end of the rail.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not interested in a new bridge that can handle more weight and more trucks and double
bigger
the
trucks.
truck traffic into our neighborhood. That's for sure.
So David, I don't see a note from you there. I don't know if you're working on it.
Angie, I suggest
Let's go to the next question. All right, keep going.
right. So this particular question also has a slide in David's presentation, basically regarding the approximate $11 million spent on the pedestrian bridge construction on West Valley. I think I see something from David here.
Yeah, I see it too.
So what I can read, it says he contacted King County and there's no information. That's as far as I've read.
Yeah, that they contacted King County. They didn't have information on the 42nd bridge inspections and said to contact Tukwila. So it's like there may be some.
Right. So definitely, David, it looks like they, when a local jurisdiction contacts them, they do not want to disclose the information unless it's fully public information. But I have enough information to share with you that shows that it's King County that's doing inspections for us. And we are meeting all the obligations. And it's actually one of the requirements for any grant applications is that we will not get a grant unless we're complying with all the inspections. But I'm happy to share that. Only thing I could see is King County didn't share because of the privacy issue is all I could think of. But I'm happy to complete that conversation with David. So this particular question is regarding the approximate $11 million pedestrian bridge in the CBD area, West Valley Highway. The answer to this is the pedestrian bridge design grant effort started in 2006, a long time before the grant was granted in 2016. So that's usually these bridge projects take 10 plus years to get. These are not something you apply and get it immediately. So that's a timeline of it. 6.8 million of this project was funded by Washington State Regional Mobility Grant. And the mobility grants are only granted to bridges and trails that are non-motorized. So these are specifically meant for bicycles and pedestrian. So these funds are set aside. They are not interchangeable for vehicular bridges. They're separate from it. And so they're also multimodal connections usually are near train stations. And so this one being near the Tukwila, the train station there on the other side of West Valley. So that's how they're chosen for funding, being in that location. They expect these connections to help people to walk to the train station, catch the light rail to go south, go north, that type of stuff. So that's the information on this, and I'm happy to answer any questions on this one.
Anybody have anything that's coming up for you? You want to ask and follow up? Okay.
I have a general question.
Yeah.
I would like to know what is the decision-making process for something like this?
For the pedestrian bridge, you mean, or?
No, for our bridge.
By the granting authorities or by the Tukwila itself?
Could you repeat that?
Are you saying by the granting authorities, like authority that gives you grants?
No, before that even. I want to know what the decision-making process as far as the plan of what to do as far as our bridge is concerned. We want to keep our bridge and not make the weight requirements higher and make it so double the amount of trucks can go through our neighborhood. We want the trucks to go on 48th Avenue South out of our neighborhood and our bridge repaired and kept for its historical value. What is the decision-making process for getting to that space where we can have what we've been fighting for 35 years?
I have to ask Rachel, or anybody can help me on this one.
So I heard you say, Sally, what your ultimate goal is, right? To keep the bridge and only have it for passenger vehicles. I don't know that that's possible. And I just say that because we have certain restrictions of infrastructure that we have to keep to a certain level. So I think that's a longer discussion. I think we should get back to you with all of that information, but I also don't want to, let you tell you something that you may just want to hear, right? Trying to be direct. So let us get back to you with a more detailed explanation on that.
And to be clear, this is what Allentown has wanted for 35 years. This is what we have been struggling for.
Right.
And meanwhile, our safety is at risk. The pollution is high for us. Our children can't even cross the street for fear of being run over by a truck going to the community center.
And can I ask also, something that you might want to look into is, you talk about putting down a temporary bridge next to the 42nd Avenue Bridge while you do all these things. Is that even, have you been out here to look? What are you gonna, you'd have to run through the Tukwila Community Center Sprinkle Park to stick a bridge there. There's not room to put a bridge beside the bridge while you work on a bridge. I would think that the thing to do would be to put that temporary bridge, like we said, over on 48th, route them through there. They can still go in the normal entrance of the Tukwila Community Center or in the BN Railroad. And I don't know. What's
Burlington Northern
process to like doing this whole, if you were to do the 42nd Avenue Bridge, tell us the steps that you seem to think that you could do besides routing those trucks in down by the fire station and straight through our neighborhood. I don't understand where you're going to route the trucks to while you're fixing the bridge. It's
right. And exactly. And one thing too is Burlington Northern is going to support this option because they're not going to have to rearrange their yard. They're going to very little, because if you do a temporary bridge over there and then a final one later, it goes right into their holding area on the south side of their yard. They won't have to change their entrance. They don't have to change their weight where they weigh the trucks. It'll just be a holding center for the trucks until they go through the weigh station, and they'll totally support that, and it won't cost them much money. I mean, and you saw the aerial view of 48th. That is meant for trucks. You've got hotels, you've got truck dealerships, you've got diesel stations. I mean, the logic of it, just the plain logic of it. I mean, good Lord. It's unfathomable to do it through our neighborhood when you've got a truck city over there.
So I'm keeping a little, oh, sorry, Sean.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate Kelly Sue and Sally's intense dialogue, but
yeah, we should let them
stated what you want a number of times. Maybe if you can just sit back a little bit and let.
Yeah, I'll cool it.
Thank you.
So I have 4 things written down that were for follow-up, and I'm just, because I'm tracking those a little bit. So one is on the cost of the survey. Ari, that was something you were talking about. There was the following up then on with David, with King County, if there's more information there on bridge inspections. following up on a more detailed kind of explanation of the decision-making process. And then also I just heard a request for like follow up on more details about how construction would actually like how things would move during construction and, you know, routes and that kind of thing. So I didn't want you to think that those are the follow-up items that I noted. Hari, is there another question?
Can you go to the next? I can't see.
No,
we
that's
already
it. There were
been
only
through the
5.
Presentation. So if you go to the next slide, please. So if you guys give us 10 minutes, our consultant will go give us a brief history of how the design and the next steps, and then after 5 minutes we'll get into the actual workshop and the questions for the workshop, how we're planning on doing the workshop. So let's go through this. Cash, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Next slide, please.
Cash, before you jump in, Mary, did you have a question before we jump into that?
Yeah, it's mostly it's to add one more thing to your list. I'd like to know what the conditions would need to be to trigger the bridge being closed. Does it have and the emergency being declared? And does it actually have to drop into the water with people on it before that's going to happen?
Thank you. I added that to the list. Okay, Cash, go for it.
Oh, thank you. And this is a very short whirlwind tour of the bridge history. The bridge plans go back to 1929, and but it was actually built in 1949. Following a new load rating that was done on the bridge, it was found that it had to be load restricted for several of the legal trucks and vehicles. AASHTO design life for any, AASHTO is the guidelines for design of the bridges. For any bridge is 75 years, even though nowadays we design bridges for 100 years right now. Go to slide 2, please. The sufficiency rating of this bridge is currently 7.56, as you have heard from Hari before, out of 100. It provides substandard non-motorized access, including ADA, to Allentown community right now. Following these inspections, it's been found that the bridge is fracture critical and is exhibiting widespread corrosion and pack rust. The approaches to it also show a lot of concrete spalling due to skew of the bridge, extreme skew of the bridge. The fracture criticalness is an inherent part of this bridge because it's basically is made up of 2 trusses, and the design of the connections and the elements at that time was a finite fatigue life. So, and again, as you guys may know, the more repetitions, cycles the bridge goes through, you are basically counting against that fatigue life. Again, as Hari mentioned, we don't know how many years the bridge can go on. The city is doing a very good job in monitoring the health of this bridge right now, and they have reduced the biannual inspection to 12 months as opposed to 24 months right now. Next slide, please. And this is the timeline of what the bridge design is going on right now. As you can see, we are really at the beginning of this study and bridge design. And as we mentioned, the whole study and design started in December of 2020, and now we are in March. The type, size, and location report, which has a great part of that is the community input really, because we take that cream of the crop of the community input will go into that type, size, and location report, and that is due by the end of the year, as Hari mentioned. Thank you.
Hi, this is Niles representing the Enviro Issues community outreach portion of this meeting. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So like Hari said, we are preparing for a April 27th community town hall meeting. It'll be online on Zoom, so everyone can come to the meeting from the comfort of their home. We are planning to update our project website with this presentation and recording of this meeting. We'll be setting out to get posted tomorrow. By end of this week, we plan on wrapping up our postcard, and then we'll also be posting our survey that we'll be using to incorporate community feedback to our project website as well. The survey questions will be very similar to the stakeholder questions we asked to others previously. Next week on April 7th, there will be hard copies of the survey available at the Tukwila Community Center, and there will also be posters delivered to there and posted around the community center and the local market they have on the corner of 42nd. And then on April 14th, or that week, there will be door-to-door notifications hand delivered to each Allentown resident. And then the week of April 12th and 19th, putting some email listers and social media posts, just so everyone is aware of the upcoming community town hall the following week. And then finally on April 27th, beginning at 5:30, we plan on having that online community town hall. This again, that April 27th, like Hari mentioned, we can work on figuring out a date that works best for you. This is just tentatively scheduled. Just keep in mind that there's certain things in mind for the April 27th date, so we're trying to be on top of things. And we're looking forward to working with you all.
Niles, there's a question about whether translators will be available, or via Zoom language channels with interpreters, so the town hall can be accessible to residents who may have other language needs.
Yes. So we do know from prior communications with the communities, with the city, that I believe Vietnamese and Spanish, are one of your top translation needs. And so we'll first be asking people to let us know if you need translators or a different accommodations. Some people might need screen readers or sign language. So we're asking people to reach out to us so then we can get an interpreter or someone who knows sign language at the meeting. If we're not able to bring that person, make the meeting accommodate them, we can plan other steps. We might have a separate one-off meeting with this person to provide them the same information if they need accommodations.
Niles, is the advertisement and social media for the meeting also going to include some different languages?
It should, yes, it should.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
I think those are all that came up in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Angie. I believe this is back to Hari, correct? Or Rachel?
I can do this. But basically what we're envisioning in the larger community town hall is to start the question and answers and a presentation, and then break out into 3 groups. Group 1 is going to be experience using the bridge, questions related to that. Group 2 is going to be future use of the bridge, questions related to that. And then can you go to the next slide, please? Group 3 is going to be engagement, how to best engage about this project. And people that are in each break rooms can go to the other break rooms after 10 minutes or so if they want, or they could stay in one break room all the 30 minutes if they want. We're happy to accommodate, but our primary goal is to get all of these to come to the conclusions and next steps And so this could be all achieved in the 27th meeting, or we may be going to another meeting before we can come out of this. Can we go to the next slide, please? Actually, can you go up to, please? Oh. The slide 15.
Yeah, there you go. Which slide is it you want? There you go.
So again, what I mentioned before is the community feedback. Below are the questions the technical team needs to finish the type, size, and location report. So the keywords are: we need these, we need your help, we're leaning on you. This is a partnership. Feedback will be used and shared in the TSNL report, and the report will consider all reasonable replacement and the choice. The report will determine the functional physical characteristics of the bridge. So all this is part of the before the 30% design. So again, I have to say it is very important for you guys to give us your feedback, just like what you did today. We're here to collect everything, and all of the report, everything you give will be included in the report. So wherever we go to present and apply for grants, anything we do, it's transparent. They will see what the community told. This is all transparent procedure. So I just want to add to that. Any questions at this stage? I think we're done with the slides.
Hari, the question I have for you is, how do you want folks to give you feedback on maybe this concept for the community town hall? Do you want to hear it now? Can people think about it and reach out? What's the best way for people to sort of engage on that topic with you?
So, I mean, the meeting has already gone like 30 minutes past. I want to respect people's time. But if you guys are willing to stay another 10, 15 minutes to discuss this, the team is happy to stick around. If you would rather send me an email or answer when we send you the survey or the postcard, or reach out to us in other manner, that's fine. But is Niles still online?
Niles is still here, yes.
Yes, I am.
So, yeah, do you want to go over the questions and see which one they're okay with it, or anything like any exercise like that?
Well, let me see if I can get a feel for folks on the call. What do you want to stick around? Do you want to engage in these questions now? Like, what works for all of you who are
maybe in the just because we are going over on time, would it be possible for you to send us a link to what you've designed so far, and then as a group we can just take a look at it and digest it a little bit more, and maybe fire back some.
Absolutely.
And is this going to be a topic of discussion at the city council meeting? We weren't sure when the council was meeting and if this was going to be a topic, and we can come to that too.
Yeah, so I'm going to the transportation committee to talk about the rail yard alternative access study on April 12th. So
is it April 12th? That's your that, like that one that we were in the other day. That's the same one like that, right?
And it's up to the committee from there if they want to take it to the committee of the whole or council meeting. And I think Council President Crawler is here, and
so yeah, we were curious when the council meeting was, if we needed to show up there.
And I'd also like to add, it might be a good opportunity, maybe both at the Transportation and Infrastructure meeting or a Council of the Whole, for Puget Sound Clean Air Agency to, I know they've given the data from the study to the city once already, but it might be nice for everybody to see that again. So I don't know if that's something we can, they were willing to do that. We just need to ask, as far as I'm aware. Is that correct? Puget Sound Clean Air Agency people? Is that cool? Thumbs up.
I see nodding.
All right.
Lisa, I saw you had your hand, and Sally, you have your hand. So Lisa, go ahead.
There it is. Okay, two things really quickly. I'm sorry, in the very beginning of this meeting, was there somebody that introduced themselves that's the grant writer or the seeker of funding?
That was.
Yeah, it was a public work grant, and it's Brittany.
That's you, Brittany?
That is me, but please take it easy on me. This is week 6.
Okay, I just merely wanted to suggest that you called our guy Pete Buttigieg and tell him that you've got a serious social justice issue going on in Tukwila that involves transportation. And I just know that he'll put us at the top of his priority list.
Thank you for that suggestion.
And the other thing was, Rachel, it's been a long time. Hi, how the hell are you?
I'm great. And Lisa, I still have the bag, but it is on its last legs. It's fraying. Good to see you.
Sally, from you, and one thing to just, you all may know this, and I'm just newer to this group, but there are ways, like, I don't need you to put everybody's email addresses in the chat, right? There's ways for y'all to get information out. Okay, good. Just didn't want that to fall apart. Okay, Sally.
Just 2 things. I'm hoping that Hari, before he sends us a list of those questions, that he might consider maybe adding a few now that he knows more that what the Allentown advocates are advocating for. And I'd just like to put that out there as a comment. And he doesn't have to answer me right now on that. I just would like to put that out there, and maybe hopefully he will do that. And also, I'd like a question for Cash, I believe his name is. I'd like to know if he, in his opinion, he feels the bridge can be repaired if there's only car traffic on it.
This is Cash. Again, anything can be repaired, Sally. But again, the problem with steel is that, especially nowadays, we design bridges with infinite fatigue life, so that the connections, so nothing like the Minnesota I-10, that was a truss bridge as well, that basically the connection failed. None of that. Those are very hard to detect, even if the inspector, we call it at arm's length from the elements, from the connections, from the members, until you don't do, magnetic particle testing or anything like that. You don't see the collisions and micro cracks and things. And this bridge has gone through many years, and a lot of traffic has been on it, so that cycle of going back and forth, going into positive, negative stress.
Yeah, we've all felt that, sir.
Yeah, and again, the vibration, it works on steel, unfortunately, and it in business, as a rule of thumb, they will say if there are 10% cracks, 90% of the life is gone, in a steel structure. Now, nobody knows how many micro cracks are in this, close to 75-year-old bridge. The city is doing a great job in monitoring it, and I know of it because it's my job. I'm a consultant, and I know these things, and I know that King County is really doing their inspections, and they, basically that's all FHWA Federal Highway asks for. The biannual inspections.
I'm sorry. I'm just curious if those connection points can be replaced.
You can put, a plate on top of a plate. It's going to be very expensive. And from a FHWA point of view, if a rehabilitation, hits about 75 to 80% of a bridge replacement, they always go for the bridge replacement. And the fact of the matter is that even if you retrofit it, these are older steel elements. Still, if you even put newer elements on top of it, so retrofit is possible, but we have not gone through the cost of it, or anything like that. I just wanted to.
It would have to be less than a new bridge.
It can be really costly because you are basically retrofitting the bridge, basically in its as-is condition, and you got to take out the corroded parts or add to the corroded parts so that the structure doesn't even see those elements. So again, it's challenging, but it's doable. You got to go through the drill of comparing the cost.
Wouldn't you agree that since they made it back then and they made things so much better back then, and that's why it's lasted as long as it has with all this truck traffic?
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, our steel technology, the fabrication of steel is much better nowadays. I mean, the collusions, the imperfections is almost non-existent in today's steel. Plus the fact that it's a higher, we call it a yield strength. We are using 50 KSI. In those days, they were using 36. Even before that, it was an equivalent to 36. It wasn't even quite 36. You should have proven it to be a 36.
I know I'm not the moderator of this meeting, but it was me. I was the one that sternly requested that we get things rolling here. And just in the interest of time, I think maybe we should wrap it up for today. I think we had a good first step here. I think we could all agree it's not the last step. We have a long way to go on this, but I want to let everybody know I appreciate all of your time for being here tonight. It's super important for us, as you can tell. We're worked up about it. So yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate the support and the facilitation. I can get you a job if you need one.
I do. Angie, my dad always said, we are the tunnel boring capital of the world. Perhaps we should dig a tunnel to the rail yard.
There you go.
Never mind.
All right. Thanks to everyone for all of your time and for sticking around for an extra 45 minutes. If you have neighbors who weren't able to stick around, we did record all of this, so it'll be there. And I told you about my follow-up items. We'll make sure that those go to the folks who will be doing the follow-up. There's a number of action items for different folks. Is there any one of the Tukwila staff who wanted to say any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to all. I think it's a good meeting, and thanks to David, John, Sally, and Kelly, and Mary that spoke and made their points get across. Thank you.
Maybe if we could get a hard deadline on when you want our feedback for the April 27th meeting, because I know it sounds like there's potentially postcards and things that need to be made. So I'm sure there's like a pretty hard deadline on that.
So when we send that out, send a deadline with it, a clear deadline. Okay.
Of when you need our feedback by.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay. Rachel, last comment?
Yeah, I just want to jump in on that real quick, because one of the things that we've been looking at is if we push the postcard out this Friday, right, we wanted to give as much time as possible for the community to know about the event. So actually looking at all of you to say what is more important, because the postcard is going to include the survey that will have all the questions. So so really looking for your expertise here. Is more time the most important for folks to know about it, or if we delay a few days on the postcard so that you can have some input on the questions, because those dates were all sort of interdependent. So I'm looking.
I
for you
think
to-
we're hoping that some of the questions would include that 48th Street Bridge, but it doesn't sound like it is. It sounds like it's all about beefing up the 42nd Avenue Bridge, and that's going to be the end of that. And
So Kelly wants to provide input on the questions. That's what we're there.
Yeah.
How about if you want to provide input on the questions, put your hands up, if that's more important to you. And, okay, hands down. Now, if you care about more knowing about it and being able to schedule it further out, put hands up. You want the postcard out as soon as possible? Okay.
Okay.
I'm not really sure about that, to tell you the truth. I've found in the past that sometimes if you wait too long for these meetings, people forget about them and then you don't have the participation. So I'm not really too concerned if there's just a few days. That's my thought on it. I don't know if everybody.
And I think if we already know the exact date and time, we can socialize it as a neighborhood without having the postcard can hopefully get to the people that we don't reach. But yeah, as long as we know when this is happening, we can start the process, even tonight. So yeah,
The issue is the issue is language access for people and making sure that that is not a last minute thing.
Okay. So Rachel, what I heard is language access is important, but a little bit more time to refine those questions. They're good with that. Okay. Great. Lisa, last comment before we sign off?
We're gonna put the 48th Street option back on the table, right?
I don't know who answers that question.
I'll go. So this study is different and it's separate from the 48. This study, I just want to be clear, and I appreciate, Lisa, you making sure that we're clear, right? This study is specific to the 42nd Avenue Bridge.
I understand that, but I'm asking the city of Tukwila and the engineering and public works and consultants, I want that to be out there, and somewhere within the communications that you guys seem to have or not have with each other, let alone us, I want 48th Street back on the table and looked at.
Yeah, I think the communication is going to need to be very clear with the rest of the residents and the neighborhood coming to this meeting, because they are going to have the same reaction that we're having. They're going to say, wait a sec, I already filled out a survey. I already went to a meeting at the community center, and I thought we were building a bridge over there.
Yeah, what happened to that?
The communication's going to need to be pretty crystal clear on exactly why we're asking these questions and what the story is with the other bridge.
And maybe a good excuse as to why we're even having this conversation again about moving the trucks out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's gonna just, it's gonna be an endless loop of, people are there's gonna be a lot of surprise residents.
Well, we're ready to
find out that it never made it out of draft form. There's gonna be a lot of unhappy people.
Thank you.
And no surprise to city council. This is no surprise to city council or any, okay. I'm gonna check out for the night. Bye, you guys.
Bye,
It's
Lisa.
nice that somebody else got emotional besides me.
Thanks everyone for your time. I hope you get some dinner and get to relax for the rest of the evening, but we really.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
so what's gonna happen next? You guys are gonna call us for some input or what?
Yes, I think there's follow-up with you that's coming.
Okay, we'll let Sean. Okay, great. All righty, thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.